Hi,
everybody. I'm Amy.
Hello, I'm Audrea.
This is the right crowd, so grab a cup of coffee.
Or a cup of tea.
Maybe a little something on the rocks, and let's get started. And no, this is not coffee for anyone who missed the last video. This is WADA's.
Be a lot of coffee.
I'm doing the 75 hard with some friends, and I got to drink lots of WADA's. So this is WADA's. So that would be a honking lot of coffee. And I drink coffee for the flavor of the creamer. So I would not, this is a lot. Yeah, no. Unless it comes in a Dunkin' Donuts cup, I'm not drinking this much coffee.
Yeah, I've never drank that much coffee. Okay.
All right. What are we talking about, Audrea?
We are talking about the 12-week year. We are week 3 for us, not of 12 weeks, but of the book. And we are doing chapter 9. And so we did chapters 1 through 8 in the previous videos. And we're on to, in chapter 9, we're talking about making your first 12-week year a success.
And that's what we want. We want success.
That's what we want.
What's the point of doing it if that's not the goal?
Right.
I can feel myself getting loopy, so I'm just going to preface this right now.
Uh-oh.
I don't know why, because it's not like it's 8 o'clock at night. But I can feel it coming. So I will try not to. Okay. And I'm not promising anything.
Noted. Okay. All right. So the first thing he says to do is he recommends clearing the decks. Well, that's the third thing he recommends to do, so that I recommend clearing the decks so that your logistical and emotional landscape are aligned with your plan and can reinforce your commitment to it. And that's a really cool thing to do. And I know on projects, in between projects, I like to clean off my desk, clean all the stuff from the old project away, and so I start fresh. But in order to start this 12-week plan, he recommends that you go all the way through this whole 12-week system. Don't dabble, read it, reread it, as Amy and I have both done. Take some notes, do all the exercises so that you're ready to start. Tell the world what you're planning to do is what he says to do, which, what did you think about that?
There is validity in that. And my inner introvert is going, no.
Yeah, I'm like,
I mean, by doing this video, we've already told everyone that we're going to be doing a follow-up 12-week. So for me, this is telling the world. I mean, there's only 15, actually, let's see. There will be between 15 and 24 people who see this video based on our numbers. And you know what? They're the world. They're the world to me.
You all are our world. Yes.
So I told the world that I'm doing this, but I do like that he, I'm just going to go to the next thing. I do like that he says to just do the system.
Yeah.
To me, it's like the first time you make a new recipe, you follow the recipe. You do it exactly as the recipe says, because you want to see how it's going to turn out based on the recipe. The second time you make it, the third time you make it, obviously you need more garlic. I don't care what unless you're baking a cake.
Always need
I'm sure the recipe did not have enough garlic, right? But you don't do that the first time around. The first time around, you follow the recipe. You want to know what it's going to taste like, the way the person intended it to taste. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like this. You can't say it doesn't work if you don't follow the system. You also don't know what's going to work for you and what's not going to work for you if you piecemeal it.
Right.
So do it as Trevor and Brian and Michael intended the 12-week year to be. Follow the system, do all the pieces. And then at the end of the 12 weeks, when you have that 13th week where you're reviewing everything, if some of it doesn't work for you, that's fine. Make adjustments that works for you. but don't you can't say something doesn't work if you haven't fully implemented the intention of it. You can't say, well, that was a crappy lasagna. Well, did you do your own little thing or did you follow the recipe? Because you can't say my lasagna is bad if you didn't follow my recipe.
Right.
So that's my 2 bets.
Okay. So, all right. So you're starting fast. He's recommending that you're starting fast. One of the great things about launching into your 12-week year is that boost of motivation and excitement you get from starting something new. And that's true. I always get that when I'm starting a new planner, when I'm starting a new system. So,
excited for it.
Yeah. And he wants you to crush your first 4 weeks. And he goes through each of the 4 weeks of your 12 weeks, your first 12. So he wants you to crush it. He wants you to hang tough. It's going to get tough. Your second, when you're on week 5 of your 12 weeks, you're going to want to like, oh, is this really the right thing to do? I'm tired of scoring weeks. My score last week was lousy, but hang in there. So he walks you through and does a little pep talk for this whole chapter and how to finish strong. And then you get to that week 13 of 12 weeks. Week 13, review and refine. So look at what did work, what didn't work, and fix it for your next 12-week cycle.
Right.
And I really like, you have mentioned that you really like that he had added that 13th week in there.
Yeah, because for me, I need time. For me personally, I need time to go back and review something before I start it over again, right? If this works the way that he says it does, and we're going to find out, I need a hot minute to reprocess what worked for me, what didn't work for me, based on how this first 12 weeks went. How does my next 12 weeks, how is it going to look? What do I need to do in order to stay on track for all of these goals I made for things that I need to get done? So I need that time in the middle. I can't go from the end to the next. I got to have a break. It's kind of like a movie marathon. Sometimes my husband and I will do movie marathons. Okay, that's good, but I need a hot minute between the 2 movies. Mm-hmm. Like, we're going to go to the potty. We're going to get something else to drink. We're going to get another snack. Might walk the dogs. Like, do something to get my brain refocused before I can do the next movie. I think it's the same kind of thing. Even though you're doing the same stuff, and there may be things that have, say you're working with an editor and your timeline, your date that the editor needs stuff is in that 13th week. He's not saying don't do stuff. He's just saying give yourself time to refocus and readjust and make new plans for the next 12 weeks.
Right.
He's not saying nothing happens that week. He's just saying don't feel like you have to jump right back into it.
Which is cool. It's like a buffer week. And I like that he gave you this, he says, grade your 12 weeks. Take all the components of your 12-week plan and grade them. Give yourself a grade on your vision, on your planning, on your time use. What worked? What didn't work? Where did you have obstacles? Did you lose a babysitter? Did you get a new project, which is going to throw off your strategic blocks? You want to talk about that here. Do all your lessons learned. So that you can avoid making the same pitfalls or having the same obstacles come up for you in your next 12-week block, which is a great exercise to do.
And then he gives you some common pitfalls and solutions. So he gives you he calls them challenges. He gives you some common challenges and how to make adjustments for those common challenges. I like that he did that. He's like, this is going to happen. Here's how to fix it. I like that. Anything else on that chapter?
Nope. So
the next chapter is how to use this to write more. Who doesn't want to write more?
Yeah. So take us through this chapter.
Yep. So this one is 12. 12. I've just been saying 12 all day long. So, whatever. He goes through myths of what some people like the words per hour myth, using the 12-week year system for more productive writing sessions, it's not necessarily about how fast you write. It's about the time that you put aside for writing. Like, I know how many words I write per hour. And for some people, that might be like, oh my God, you write how much? And then for other people, be like, wait, that's all you write? Right? So it's not about words per hour. It's about the time that you take aside to do your writing. It's not about how fast you are. It's about actually just having the time block. He also talks about preparing. And we kind of talked about that at the end of last week's video about how I prepare and you prepare for the week coming up and your next day. And he breaks that down to preparing for your writing session. So how I said in the last video that if you have 3 hours to write, you don't have 3 hours to write. You really have 2.5, maybe 2, because you have to look at your schedule. You have to make sure your tactics are there. You have to do any pre-work ahead of time. You have to make sure you have all the tools ready. Okay, I'm going to write in my car for an hour because I've got an hour between appointments. Did I bring all the stuff with me to do it? Right? So make sure you've got all the things that you need. And then he goes into, he explains how he prepared to write chapter 6 of this book. And I don't remember why he picked chapter 6. Do you remember? Was it arbitrary?
I do not know. I think it was just arbitrary. I don't
okay. But he went through and said, okay, I followed the steps that I'm telling you to do. Create your model week, identify tactics, do the necessary pre-work, have your tools ready. Like, he went through and said, okay, this is how it worked for me when I did chapter 6. So it wasn't like, do as I say, not as I do. He's like, do as I say, and here's how I did it.
Yeah.
Like, this is how it works. He talks about in this chapter staying focused. I like that he points out at the bottom of page 157, you need to write at a pace and with a rhythm that is comfortable and sustainable. So my writing pace for me, for some people, they're going to be like, wait, that's all you write? It's okay. It's me. It's the way I write. I know that when I sit down and just write, I can write 1,200 words an hour. I know that that's my pace. It used to not be. I've gotten better. But I know that that's the pace that I'm comfortable with. I can't look at, I'm going to use her as an example because I do all the time, Sarah Cannon. She writes more than 1,200 words an hour.
Yeah.
I can't be like, well, I've got to write as many words as she does. No, I don't. That's her and this is me. This is me and that's you. Like, what works for you, and make sure that whatever you're putting down as your goals is what is going to work for you, because you're the one doing the work. And the whole point of this is to make it less stressful, more doable for you. And by comparing yourself to other people and trying to do it how other people are doing it, that's what works for them. Don't try to do that because it's just going to frustrate you. So I like that he points out to make sure that it's comfortable and sustainable for you. And he says to start by setting easily achievable improvement goals and slowly working your way towards your desired length of focused work session. So like in the last video, we talked about the average is 44 minutes that your brain will focus before it's going squirrel 50 times. For some people, it might be an hour and 15 minutes. I mean, that's the average, right? 44 minutes is the average. So it might be an hour, 15 minutes. For some people, it might be 15 or 20, right? Make sure that you're doing what works for you. You don't want to time block 45 minutes because I said the average is 44 minutes and you're spending the last 15 minutes looking out the window and watching the clock to see if the 45 minutes is out, right?
Right.
If it doesn't work for you, don't make it what works for you and how you can focus to get your work done. Would you like to add anything to that?
I have nothing to add. Well said.
Oh, it's all said. Okay, chapter 11, your turn.
All right, so chapter 11.
This one was like, I feel so called out on this one.
I know, me too. This is all about how to manage multiple writing projects. So we
Just
can,
raise your hand if you have multiple writing projects. Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
I'm sure all 15 of us have our hands raised. Okay, go ahead.
basically don't do it. No, that's not what the chapter says. But it says, I mean, there are pitfalls for trying to manage multiple writing projects. And he said,
Unless apparently unless you're Elon Musk.
yeah.
He points that out. Elon Musk is cut from a different cloth than the rest of us. So,
And there are some people who are, although the science says that, well, we all know science says multitasking does not work. You mentioned that in other videos, but sometimes you have multiple writing projects. Your brain has to be able to switch. So he gives you some examples of how to do it. He also says, but he does tell you before you commit to this, if you haven't already committed to it, this is why it's hard. You'll have failure to follow through because you're concentrating so hard on multiple things that you're not making good progress on them. You are having switching costs, which Amy mentioned before. You're not Sarah, which Amy mentioned before, but Amy and then logistical headaches. Having multiple writing projects ramps up the coordination and logistic costs, which it does. And I have before last year, I figured out I needed to cut down the multiple projects that were in my head because I needed to focus on one. And after I did that, I made a lot more progress on the one. Although my brain is like, but I get bored with I want to think about other things. So you have to accommodate that in different ways. The other pitfall is the energy and motivation drain, and that you can get from having multiple writing projects because they demand more energy and motivation, and it taxes your willpower. He says it right there. And then inefficient subconscious, which that one, woofta, right here. Oh yep. My gosh. Having multiple writing projects makes it hard for your subconscious to help you. And writing for me, because I'm number 1 or number 2 intellection in your Clifton writing strengths. A lot of my writing is, for most writers, it's all in your head and then you put it on the paper. But I'm constantly thinking about the books. But when you have multiple projects, your subconscious, easy for me to say, your subconscious can't help you when you have overtaxed your subconscious, is basically what he's saying. So even when sleeping, your writer's brain is busy trying to resolve plot points, tease out complicated arguments, or find the perfect phrase. In short, your brain needs lots of soaking time to do its best problem solving. But when you ask your brain to consider too many projects at once, there's a lot more noise and distraction. And I found myself suffering from that a lot this year with the different projects, between work projects and writing projects. They both when I'm at home, I'm sleeping, I'm waking up in the middle of the night thinking that, I need to schedule a meeting with this group. Oh, and then did I send the whatever points on the specs to this person? That your brain is constantly trying to do that stuff. But if you are having to manage multiple writing priorities, he gives you some tips on how to do it. Number 1, set priorities. So that's in here. That's one of the keys. You have to set priorities. I highlighted, let's see, you have to balance your workload, which, woofda, that is tough. Your model week, though, can help you with balancing your workload. Did you want to add anything on keys 1 or 2 or prior?
Only on key 1, he points out that you should have a handy decision rule, and that it should be a rule that you trust. So coming up with your own decision rules. So if you have to make a choice, you already have a preset way of how you're going to make that choice, and making it something that doesn't cause you extra stress when the choice has to be made. Like you've already decided this is the way the choice is going to go, and it should be less stressful for you to make the decision. If it's not, you need a different rule.
Right. which is, I had not heard of that. So that was pretty cool. Also know your limits. Schedule your big chunks first. Again, with that prime writing time or that A-B time, you're going to need to use A time sometimes for one project and A time sometimes for the other project. So you have to think about that as you're making out your week plan. And I love the example that he gives here of the 12-week plan applied to multiple projects. So he has the one goal is big writing trunk, complete draft of Bear and Woods paper. These are examples. And then the other one is revise and resubmit Beyond Hegemony article. These are two separate writing projects. And he has some other writing projects in this grid and how he broke them out in the 12 weeks.
And I like that he points out that you can, like, he did it based on chunks. He did one project for the first 4, one project for the second 4, and one project for the next 4. But he points out that there's what's it called, serial, there's multifocal mode and there's serial focus. And the multifocal is where you schedule your work so that on like Monday you're doing one project, Tuesday you're doing one project, Wednesday you're doing a different project. Where the serial is the way he broke this down, where you're working on one project for a chunk of your time. And then you move to the next project for the next chunk. And you're working on multiple projects for your 12 weeks, but you're not working on multiple projects every week. So your brain is like, you're working on like, I'm going to use colors. Purple is weeks 1 through 4. Blue is weeks 5 through 8. Orange is weeks 9 through 12. So that you're not trying to figure out whatever works for you. Some people, you're going to want to do everything every week, and that's fine, but don't schedule everything every day. You need to break it down so that your brain can catch up.
And one other point, when you are doing your scoring and you're working on multiple, if you're all of a sudden working on multiple, you want to use your scoring to tell you whether or not where you're having successes or whether or not your tactics are successful. This is really going to be key for you, especially with managing multiple projects. You can see where you're dropping your productivity and where you're having success and why, if you're using the scoring techniques.
And make changes if you need to.
Yeah.
If you are seeing that 1, 2, and 3 have low scores because you can't you can't do all the things, you can change it for weeks 4, 5, and 6. Like if it's not working, don't stick to something that's not working for you just because you've written it out. It's a living document. Change it.
Yes.
That's what, okay, so you have highlighter, you have the highlighter, you have whiteout, you have eraser, and you just have a straight up pen. You can just mark it out and change it. Like
that's right.
It is not etched in stone. So change it if you need to. And I like that he like the scorecard, I think, is what will help people make sure that the system that they've chosen and how they've worked it all out, make sure that it's working for them. So make sure you're doing the scorecard.
Exactly so. Okay. All right. So that was chapter 11. Again, we go through these at a really high level because we're expecting that you're going through the book with us, like a book club, or you're going to get the book and read it yourself and glean all the deep knowledge and marrow from, I'm sorry. Sorry, vegans. Just get the stuff, get the good stuff out of the book because you're reading the actual book. That's what I meant. Okay. Now we're going to go over to how chapter 12. Chapter 12 is how to write together. And I actually just glanced through writing together because I have no intentions on doing a collaborative project in the near future, in the near term, or long term, maybe in a few years, but I did not, but it's there for those of you who do co-author or have writing teams. How to write together is in the book using this program.
Yeah, we don't have anything to add for it because we don't do it. We don't plan on doing it. But know that it's there. So if you co-author, if you've thought about doing a team, if you're part of a team, if you just want to know his thoughts on it,
Yeah.
that's what chapter 12 is for. So we're going to just go right to chapter 13, which is the writer's mindset.
All righty.
I'm going to start with page 197. He says that he has boiled a list down. I'm trying to remember what the list is for. Highly productive writers and productive people share several key qualities. He says that for the five most important dimensions he thinks are greatness in the moment, resilience, accountability, commitment, and growth. And then he goes through and breaks down each of those things in this chapter. He starts with greatness in the moment. And then he literally just goes through the five things and what he thinks about them, and he gives some personal examples. I like that under resilience, he says that highly productive writers, and I think that it's highly productive people. I don't think this just applies to writers. Don't waste a lot of time licking their wounds. They get back to work.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, this didn't work. How do we change it? How do we fix it? How do we go around it? What do we do? Move forward. There's not a blame game going on. There's not a pity party. I mean, little tiny world's smallest violin going for everybody, right? You bring the cheese, I got the wine. There's none of that going on, right? You move on and you go to the next thing. He also says that, which I like on page 203, and this is still under resilience. He says that if someone hates your writing, that's their right. But unless their criticism contains useful information for improving your writing, you should pay it zero attention.
Exactly.
Focus on the people who are predisposed to be your fans. And I'm just going to say this right now. I have not published a book, but I'm in plenty of writing groups. And everyone gets 1 stars. Everybody gets them.
Yep.
What's going to determine how you move forward is how you see those 1 stars. I've seen some people like totally distraught that they got a 1 star. And then you have other people going, woo, got my first 1 star, got that out of the way, right? So it just, and then also look at what they're actually saying about your 1 star. I've seen people, like I've seen reviews where they give a 1 star because they thought the book was about something else. And I'm like, did you not read what the book was about?
Yep.
So like, or, you know, the cover made it look like it was going to be about this, but it was really about that. But I enjoyed the book, but they still gave him a 1 star because the cover didn't match with, like, you're going to get them. Just know that those aren't your fans and it's okay. Move on. Don't pity party on it, because focus on the people who are going to be the ones that your 5th book, they will pre-order. They don't give 2 shakes what it's about. They just love you as an author. Those are the people that you're focused on. Yeah,
That's great advice. No matter what book or system you're using, focus on your fans. Yep. That's awesome. Speaking of fans, if you guys really like these videos, you should like and share, and subscribe, and tell your friends, your other writing friends, that we have fun here talking about doing our nerdy book reviews, author book reviews.
All right. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Clubhouse.
That's right. Okay. All right. So that is a lot of the writer's mindset. I thought that was a great chapter. That's a great pep you up chapter for your writing group. Just to reread at the end of every 12-week cycle, but because there's some good stuff in there about being resilient. And the one thing that I didn't mention it because it was earlier on in the chapter, which a lot of writers have problems with this one, and it is sticking to it. And that is under greatness in the moment on 198. As Angela Duckworth writes, grit is about working on something you care about so much, you're willing to stay loyal to it. And a lot of writers, and that's, I've been so frustrated with my current WIP, work in progress, that I've wanted to just stop. I mean, even after, I mean, I love the story, but it just, there's so much work when you're a brand new budget or budding author to getting to that, the book on the shelf, especially when you want it to be a good book, and you want to have it edited, and you want all these things, and you have to incorporate the edits, and you have the beta readers, and you all this stuff, and you, like you said, you get one a bad review, or you get someone who totally misses the point of a whole section, and you're like, well, maybe I should go write about dinosaurs. I don't know, dinosaurs are fun. What if there was a race of dinosaurs?
Only if you know how to spell pterodactyl without looking it up.
Oh, I guess I'm out. I know there's a P. I know there's. All right, which is, it's the coolest spelling. I'm sorry, I digress. Anyway, that is chapter 13. Now we move on to chapter 14, to parting thoughts.
My parting thought on chapter 13, though.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to go back to one thing. The bottom of page 211, I think, really sums up the whole thing.
Yes.
And he says, every challenge is an opportunity to learn and grow. There's a saying that goes, fail forward, right?
Yeah.
You can't improve if you don't fail. Like, there's nothing to fix if you don't fail. If you're always winning, you're not really growing. Like, there has to be a challenge and an obstacle for you to overcome, for you to get to the next thing. So look at every failure, every challenge, every obstacle as a way to grow and become better. And there's actually a girl in my brokerage that every week she sets a goal as to how many things she wants to fail at that week, so that she can learn and grow and become better. So don't look at the bad as, oh my gosh. Look at it as, okay, great. How can I improve? How can I make this better? What do I need to do to use this as an opportunity for growth? So I like that he points that out. And it's only going to be an opportunity to learn and grow if you choose to let it be an opportunity to learn and grow.
Yeah.
You can choose to do the pity party thing and be a 2-year-old and throw a temper tantrum. You can choose that. And you're an adult. That's your choice. And there's no improvement there. So
right.
That's it. Those are my parting thoughts.
Those are your parting thoughts on chapter on chapter 12. No, that's chapter 13.
13.
I'm sorry. 13. All right. So parting thoughts is the chapter 14. Now that's not the last chapter of the book. It's not also
it's this long.
Yeah.
It's this long.
1 page. It's not the last chapter we're going to review. We're actually going to end this part of the video series with the chapter 14, because we are going to come back with our follow-up video, which will in after 12 weeks, which will be our review of the 12-week process, having actually gone through it and worked through it. And at that point, we'll review the rest of the book contains an author's example and an FAQ and some resources, but the resources we've mentioned. Speaking of resources, I did want to, for those of you who really get into the book, as Amy pointed out, there are resources that come with the book. There's a QR code in the back, which you should get that, and that'll give you some resources you can print out. You can also find resources online. You can make your own too for the 3-week vision. All of these you can make your own with Excel or Google Sheets.
I can't make my own. I suck at that kind of stuff. I print out everybody else's things.
Yeah, I like. Sometimes I don't have the time. Sometimes like I could make that. I don't have time. Click, print, buy, whatever. Make it happen on my computer now. I got no time. But yeah. But overall, so far, what are your thoughts on the book? Speaking of parting thoughts, Amy, so far.
I am I was telling my husband that I was really excited that we did this book, because one of my goals for the year was to complete Millworthy. We're not going to discuss that. We're just going to let that go. And what I love about this is that it's made me write down what I actually need to be working on in order to get this book that I've been working on for 2 years now, to get it finally at the point where if I followed this 12-week thing that we have going on, it should be ready for an editor by the beginning of June. Yay, right? If I follow it, and if my time that I've written out and how long it's going to take to do stuff, if that's actually accurate, right? First time around, I really don't know. I'm guessing. One of my goals is to be able to have books, not one book, books to sell at 20 books to 50K in November. So if I follow this, I should have what I need to have in place in order to be able to sell in November. So I'm super excited, especially we didn't even talk about the mind map. Like he had us do a mind map, which my husband's very much into. He's very much into all those things. So it was pretty cool when I was like, hey honey, look, I even mind mapped. Like I'm doing the things that you love to do. But I like that that it breaks it down in more reasonable pieces. And it's not like I have until November to get it done. Like that's the year process.
Right.
It's like there's actually an end spot. Like it should be done by these calculations. It should be ready for beta readers the 22nd of May. Like if I follow my plan, and if everything, goes according to plan, we'll see. So I'm super excited. What are your thoughts on it?
I am super excited too. I think it's a great way. I like the system that he's broken out. I like the original 12-week year now that I've read it right alongside this one, the concepts, and I'm excited to employ those the system to get, because I have a lot to get done to get out the first 3 books in my Cozy Mystery series this year, because my plan is to have those ready for the 20 books to 50K at the next one, to have them published then too. So there's a lot to get done to get to that point, and doing it in a annualized way is daunting because there are so many things that come up, but having the focus on what needs to get done to get you, and having incremental success, I am all about right now, incremental success. So I'm excited that we're going to do this. So you guys are going to want to tune in for our, tune into all of our videos, but it'll be 12 weeks before we come back with a review of this one, but we'll have some rooms on Clubhouse if you're a Clubhouse member, but follow along in Facebook where we'll put updates and photos. We'll take some snapshots of some of our 12-week year stuff as we go along. And then when we come back and do our follow-up, you'll hear how we did with our first 12 weeks. So that's it for the book. That's it for us for this video.
Oh, we're supposed to announce our next book and we haven't thought about it.
So you'll have to tune in to the next video to find out what our next book is going to be, or we'll pop it up on Facebook. But if you guys have suggestions, send those in too.
Yes, and we'll put the next book in the show notes when this one publishes. By then we'll have figured it out.
Yes. Okay.
All right, so is that it?
That's it.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.